to the Red Men TV. I'm Steve Hutt. It's time for our latest Liverpool news update show. Hope you're all doing well. Yet this show, as the title and the thumbnail for those of you who've seen it suggests, we're going to be talking a lot about Romeo Lavia. Of course, there's a lot of talk that he's maybe a step closer to completing the move to Liverpool. Obviously, it's still not there yet. There's still an agreement to be made between Liverpool and Southampton. But by all accounts, the player wants to move. He's agreed some terms and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, decent little show for me to get involved in. It was nice sometimes when you do these new shows and you have a little look what you're going to talk about. This one was dead easy for me. I woke up, saw all this wonderful Lavia news all across Twitter, or do I call it X now? What do I call it? I don't know. So, either or, whatever Elon is deciding that we should call it, our Lord and Saviour and Overlord of the world, Elon Musk. Anyway, he's decided we can call it X. We'll do that. Easy. Job is a good one. That was my show, but I'd love to get your guys' thoughts as well. So, yeah, do use the live chat on YouTube right away if you're watching this live with us. Of course, if you are watching as one of our Red Men Plus Club Legends, you can use the Discord chat. And of course, if you're watching this after the fact, please do leave your comments below and we'll get to as many of them as we can. Right then, before we move on, just some of your thoughts on before we move on to get some of your thoughts on Lavia. The news broke earlier this morning, and I will bring this up on my computer right now for you. It came from Sasha Tavaleri. He said Liverpool have finally started the talks with Southampton for Romeo Lavia. The Belgian midfielder side have just agreed on personal terms. Lavia was waiting for the green light from the LFC board and was a little annoyed that it was dragging, but it has moved now. The first official bid will be sent soon by the Reds, and he understands Liverpool want to start with an offer close to £35 million. It's time to wait and see. Yeah, funny enough, Sasha was actually on Red Men Plus earlier this morning. As soon as this news broke, Dan Club got on the phone to Sasha and had a little chat. But before we speak about exactly what we're doing, just a little clip from Sasha to give you context on this deal.
They already get all the plans into their ID, because as I told you, they already took the information before of being in that situation. So they are going to make an official bid close to 35, and what Liverpool think that can happen is that they make the deal at 40. Okay, so they want to make everyone pleased, and Southampton is really open. So the player was really annoyed because he was waiting for finally Liverpool to move, because they were lacking some details in terms of personal terms and something like this. But yes, the player has chosen. He was convinced by club. He gave the green light already, I think 1 week or something like this ago.
Yeah, so there we go. Romeo Lavia, as spoken about, of course, by Sasha Tavaleri. Sasha's been all over the story from day one. He's got really close links to Lavia, and there's agents and all that kind of stuff, and he's reported it. For a bit more context, and I'll bring this one up as well. This is from Plettigol, Florian Plettenberg, another friend of the Red Men. He says, I understand that Liverpool is the top favourite now for Lavia. He wants to join Liverpool and has given the green light. There's been no agreement between the clubs yet, but concrete negotiations are ongoing. His price valuation is set at around £50 million, and Jurgen Klopp wants him. So, yeah, it feels to me, and it's pretty obvious at this point then, Lavia wants Liverpool, Liverpool want Lavia, Liverpool aren't really willing to pay £50 million for Lavia. Southampton want to get £50 million for the player. So that's kind of where we're at with it now, which in itself is a pretty big development. Couple of comments on the player for you guys. First of all, just S. Says he's a very good backup option, but nowhere near good enough as a first team option. And my thing on the Lavia, and I'll leave your comment up while I speak there, Mr. S. I don't know for sure that he should be Liverpool's number one choice DM. I think that's a fair point. I would quite like Liverpool if they get, and by the way, this still leaves the door open for it. If they get Lavia, because they think he's very, very good now, and he's got the capacity to go on and be a great player. Fantastic, go and get the deal done. If that's what if your scouts and yourselves have identified this player as someone who's got a real big future and you want him in the team, go and get him. But he's probably better than a backup, but he's so young and inexperienced, you probably want something else. But this doesn't, Liverpool get this one done, it doesn't really take them off the market for another player. They can have Lavia and Bajcetic and another signing as like your three options as DMs. Now, of course, Pachetis, the fact that he can play as an 8 as well, gives him more opportunities to get minutes. But I don't say nowhere good enough. I think that's too harsh. What I would say for me is that I wouldn't be particularly comfortable if Liverpool go into the season and their first choice DM is Lavia or Pachetic and the second one's the other one. I think they probably want another player in there. Of course, if you think about all the options, Fabinho going, Henderson going, Milner has gone, and then Pachetic had a bit of an injury. Of course, they're going to have to do something. I think they need to get 2 players in who are number 6s. Lavia is a good start, but I would like them to do something else as well if they get this one done. And maybe that's why there's a little bit of negotiation on the fee. Maybe Liverpool are trying to keep the powder dry, trying to keep a little bit more money in the coffers to go and get themselves somebody else as well. Who that is, I don't know. Tobbs FIFA says, yeah, who else do you think we'll sign, Steve? And I do think that's an interesting one. I thought for a while Paulinho might have been an option. Obviously, done his shoulder the other day, so that might take that one out of the equation. Amrabat, maybe, as by a young player who develops, and you can have an older player who can start straight away and be in your team. Maybe that's an option. We haven't really seen Liverpool do that for a while. So honestly, I don't know. My guess is they'll get Lavia and one more, someone else who can play as a DM. I would just be guessing names. Somebody, in that mold, perhaps. I've heard. My idea, if it was me, I'd want them to go and get Moises Caicedo, but whether that's a financial thing, whether that's he wants to go, whether he wants to go to Chelsea and he's decided that's the move he wants, then I think that's probably where we're at with it. I like Lavia, and I think he's very, very good, and I think there's a chance he should be an upgrade on what Fabinho was last year, and probably what Henderson was as well. Because those two, they had poor seasons. So I don't think it's hard to get yourself at a level where maybe you can outperform how they performed last year. But for a 19-year-old to play consistently at a high level for 40, 50 games a season, that's going to be tough. I think we saw Stefan Pachetic get injured when Liverpool overplayed them. We saw Harvey Elliott's form dip after he played like every game for like a long time, and he understandably had a dip. It's hard to rely on young players. So I would like one more, but I do think Lavia is good, very good. I think he's got a bright future. I think he's got stuff to learn, and I think that's why I would personally might think it would be. I get him in for sure. I think he's got a very high ceiling, but I would be more comfortable if Liverpool get someone else. And I think, and it's very un-Liverpool like, by signing a young player and the fact that they've got Stefan Bajcetic as well, it allows them a bit of flexibility to maybe move away from the tried and trusted model of 22, 23, 24-year-olds. And you might be able to go and get yourself someone who's more 26, 27, 28, 29 on a shorter term contract, like I say, an Amrabat or a Paulinho before he got injured. That type of player, maybe you can spend 30, 40 million on them as well. Have them for one contract, essentially, and bite the bullet on the resale. But again, I don't run the football club, but that's kind of where I'm at. For A's, let's have a look at what you say. Rivals are signing players left, right, and centre, and we're counting money to save for a player. Who's signing players left, right, and centre? I don't understand it. People have signed 2 players. Is there someone else who signed more than 2 players so far? I might be wrong on that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I know Arsenal have signed 2. Rice and Havertz, right? Timber 3. So there's 3. City maybe. Yeah, I don't think Liverpool have signed 2 already. So I'm calm. It's not here yet. Relax. It's all good. I don't think Liverpool intended to have to sell Jordan Henderson and Fabinho or plan to do so. I think they are reacting to it, but they've already got 2 in. It looks like they're closing in on a 3rd, and there's still weeks to go. Jürgen's podcast interview we did the other day with the We Are Liverpool podcast. He knows as well. He said there will be new players. He's told you that himself. Calm. I'm sure it will it'll all be fine. What I would say on this on the Lavia stuff, then obviously it looks like he's agreed. He's given Liverpool a nod in the wink, and now it's a case of getting a deal done. Obviously, there's talk. How imminent is this move? Well, according to Sky Sports, this is via the guys at Football Daily. Lavia will be part of the Southampton squad this evening as they take on Bournemouth in a pre-season friendly. Obviously, this is amid reports that negotiations are ongoing between Liverpool and Southampton for a transfer for the 19-year-old midfielder. So as it stands, this doesn't look like what he's playing for Southampton in a friendly game tonight. That's the plan anyway. It's well worth keeping an eye on that one. If he somehow pulls out of that game or something doesn't happen, then obviously the wheels might be further down the line. But Southampton are probably doing with that friendly a little bit what Liverpool did when they took Jordan Henderson to Saudi Arabia. They're waiting for a bid that they want to accept. They're not going to say sit at home, because the second he sits at home, he's done. There's no coming back from that. So I think that's what Liverpool did with Henderson. Liverpool knew Henderson was going to go. El Ettifaq rather, weren't putting the money on the table. So he went, because why would Liverpool hamstring themselves? It feels that's probably what Southampton are doing here. They're not just going to go, right, Romeo, you sit there and we'll wait for Liverpool to do something. It's kind of telling Liverpool, listen, we're not here to mess about. Now, in terms of what a fee would be, like Sasha said before, it might be that you meet in the middle. We want to pay 30, use 150. Can we do 40? Shake hands. Maybe there's an add-on fees. Maybe there's bonuses. Maybe there's some type of clauses. Maybe there's a sell-on fee, and we kind of do a deal. He's got a £40 million release clause in his contract that Man City can activate last year. So Southampton could, in theory, wait. I think that might piss the player off. And I think they could probably do with the money in the bank now. If he's going to be, rather than have an unhappy player, get the money in now to allow them to spend. They've already signed a midfielder. They've been linked with Hamza Chowdhury recently as well. So maybe they're putting their ducks in a row in terms of replacing Lavia. So it all feels like this one, the wheels are starting to turn, of course. As it stands, this reporting's come from Belgium with Sasha, who, trust me, we've had Sasha sources on this are very, very rock solid. Florian Plettenberg from the again, the fact that the terminology of green light was used, maybe that's a briefing of sorts for him as well. But maybe that's where we're at. It does feel like that again. A lot of this is coming from the player side at the moment. Liverpool with transfers, this side of the pond, or the local beat. Liverpool are really, really quite late before they push the button and go, it's definitely happening. And sometimes, guys like Neil Jones or Paul Joyce or James Pearce will ask the questions and they'll get encouragement that there's a player they like, but Liverpool do keep the cards pretty close to the chest until they're at a point where they're pretty comfortable that something is concrete. And even then it can go wrong, a la Nabil Fekir. But I'm guessing it's only a matter of time before the guys on the Liverpool beat are reporting similar stories. It does look like the Lavia stuff. He looks like he's going to be the next one in the door. It looks like it could move pretty quickly. If he's agreed personal terms already, you're talking to Southampton, a club, of course. Liverpool have dealt with Southampton a lot. I think they might saying that there's a new ownership in town, or there's a new model there. But in general, Liverpool have good dealings with that club. They've dealt with them before. Southampton aren't pushovers. They're not just going to bend over and let you take the players on the cheap. I think Newcastle were in for Livramento, or still are, and they're getting quoted big fees. They're also in the same for Lavia now, of course. So I tend to agree that it looks like it's getting closer, but I don't think it's anywhere near the line just yet. But we'll find out. Let's have a little look. That's what Jono says. Neil Jokes. Oh, that's poor. Neil Jones. Don't call him Neil Jokes. Will be weaker this season without Fabinho. Henderson, is he mad? Watched them last season. They were our worst two players. I think the point was, Jono, if we don't sign anybody else and we go with Bajcetic as the number 6 and like a young kid, maybe you are weaker. You're certainly weaker in terms of numbers. So I think that's more he meant. I think everyone's agreed Fabinho and Henderson had poor seasons. Neil said that himself on the show. Fabinho and Henderson had poor years, and Liverpool could either need them to get better or to replace them. So I don't quite think that. I think Liverpool at this moment in time, as we saw the other day when McConnell and Trent Alexander-Arnold were Liverpool's number 6s, Liverpool are weaker at this moment in time. They haven't done these deals aren't done yet. Fabinho and Henderson technically haven't gone, but they're not part of the squad. So I think that's where, and also obviously Bajcetic being injured, Thiago injured as well. I do believe that's the point. Liverpool are at this very moment weaker. Is Lavia going to walk in on day one and be better than Fabinho was last season? I think there's a good chance of that, because I think Fabinho had a really poor year. Fabinho towards the end got better as Liverpool's system changed, but he had a poor year. Is Lavia going to walk in on day one and be Fabinho of the Champions League winning season and Fabinho of the Premier League winning season, and even Jordan Henderson of the Premier League winning season, I would be very, very sceptical of that being the case. I think I'd be pleasantly surprised if he comes waltzing. Remember, Fabinho wasn't that when he arrived. Fabinho took 6 months. So I think that's the point. Liverpool, it's going to be hard to get someone, especially a young kid, to come in and just be the lighthouse that Fabinho was. Of course, the difference is the role is slightly different now. Fabinho was the island. He was the lighthouse. He was on his own with Henderson or Wijnaldum or Milner or whoever doing lots and lots of running around him. It's a bit different in this system where he should, in theory, have Trent Alexander-Arnold next to him to help out defensively and, of course, to give the ball to. Maybe a little bit more running in terms of covering other spaces because your number 10s are probably a bit further up the pitch. But and also maybe if they beat the press, it's probably a bit easier for them to get beat the press when if it's so high up the pitch. So the role has changed. I mean, maybe we don't need the absolute anchor lighthouse that Fabinho was, but I think it's a fair point to say if Lavia walks in and is just automatically as good as Fabinho at his peak, that would be fantastic. But it's unlikely. Fabinho is one of the best players of a generation, really. He was unbelievable for those couple of years. He was one of, if not the best defensive midfielders on the planet. Anfield Lad 10. Steve, would you take Kone? Oh, sorry, would you take Kone? He'll apparently be back to full training in 2 weeks. I haven't seen enough of Kone to have a definitive answer on him. Again, he is quite young, but potentially. So you're saying Lavia and Kone together? I would be more comfortable with 2. I wouldn't. If Liverpool end their midfield signings at just Lavia, I would be uncomfortable with that. I think they could do with somebody else. It might be somebody who can play 8 and 6, maybe, but I wouldn't be best. I wouldn't be so. Maybe a Kone. Maybe they go back in for Thuram. Obviously more advanced, but maybe can do some bits of a 6 if you need them. The Gravenberch stuff was there, but that feels like that one is unlikely given that Bayern don't want to sell him. Amrabat, Man United links a little bit old. Paulinho, injured now. There's no one I can just go, yeah, him. The only one I would say, yes, him, for me at this moment in time is Moises Caicedo. And that just doesn't look like it's happening. I would love it to happen, whether it's a finance thing, like I say, whether it's a Chelsea thing that he just wants to go to Chelsea, whether they just literally haven't got 90 million pounds in the bank right now to give to Brighton. I don't know. But he's the only one I would be like, yeah, push the button on him. I think everyone else there has got question marks about it. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I say I like Amrabat, and yeah, Shadowbox says Amrabat is 26. Yeah, I like him, but Liverpool tend not to play it. 24, 25, even tends to be the range Liverpool tends to go for. I'm with you. I think he's decent. I think he's good. We had the show before the originals, which Steve Plunk was on. He disagrees. He's not a fan of Amrabat. I think him as a relative short term deal with Lavia would make sense. But I don't know. I don't know. If truth be told, Jacob asked a question: is Lavia homegrown? Not yet, but he's under 21, so he doesn't need to be registered anyway. So it's irrelevant. You can have as many teenagers as you want, basically. Under 21 players on they can be registered on your B list. By the time he gets to his age to have to be included in the squad, he will then count as homegrown. Stefan Bacchetti is actually, I think, pretty similar to this. By the time, because I think you've got to have spent 3 years, haven't you, before you then come homegrown. So maybe that's another thinking in this, that down the line, if Liverpool are thinking of the homegrown quota, Lavia will eventually become homegrown. But yeah, I don't know. We had a members chat. I can't bring it up on screen. Sorry, Dave's not working, but Dave Johnson, thanks very much, Dave, says, I think if we get Lavia, I think a more experienced starter is likely as well. And I agree with that, Dave. The Lavia thing getting done now, to me, suggests that could happen. I might be wrong. Linders, Schmadke, Klopp, whoever's doing the transfers these days might just think Lavia is good enough to go and good enough to play. And Jurgen will play young players. Ask Trent Alexander-Arnold how often he played when he got in the team. Ask Harvey Elliott when he come back from his loan at Blackburn. He was in the team before he got a horrendous injury. And then he played every game last season for a long, long time. So I do think I wouldn't rule out the fact that they really like Lavia and think he's good to go, and they're willing to play young players. They've shown it time and time again. They will not hesitate. If they think you're a level, they don't care. Yeah, Andy says, yeah, Jude, he would have bought Jude Bellingham and he'd have played him. Different level of player, of course. I think Bellingham to Lavia. But I see your point. Jurgens doesn't care how old you are. If you're good enough, you'll play. So I do think that isn't beyond the realms. I tend to agree with your comment, though, Dave. I do think it leaves the door open for another one. But you're right. Sorry, but I believe you're right. I think it does, but I wouldn't say it's nailed on that they do it. What else are they going to do? Well, time will tell. We've got a comment here from John Kelly who says we need a starting centre back. Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! 4 comments. Sorry, 4 exclamation points just shows how serious John is. I think we need a new centre back. It will be tough to get someone right now who's better than Van Dijk and Konate. I think you could get someone in who's better than Joel Matip and Joe Gomez. I think they could. I've got concerns about both. Can you get that player in? How much is that player going to be and all that kind of stuff? I do think Liverpool should go and buy a centre-half. I've got major concerns about Matip and Gomez in particular. But this is the problem. Signing backups is never easy. I think if Liverpool go and get someone, it should actually be a little bit what they did with Ibu Konate. Someone who's young, highly promising. You're comfortable in playing, but they're also happy to accept the fact that they might not play straight away. When Konate signed, Joel Matip were at the peak of his powers, and Konate dropped in and out, and then eventually took his place, and then he's the starter now. That's what I would like. I would like Liverpool to have a bit of a succession plan. I would listen to offers for Joel Matip now anyway. I've got concerns, but you can't do that at this time, given the lack of numbers. But if you can get his replacement in the door for a year, have him about whoever this person is, and slot him in the pecking order, ideally next in. But if he's next in line after that, then sound while he's learning. But again, off the top of my head, that's a tough one to put a name on it. Colwell would have been perfect, given the Chelsea injury situation at centre-half and how adamant they are that he's not for sale after Brighton's interest. That one looks unlikely at best. But I do think we need another centre-back. I do think we need a defender to come in. I agree with you. I think the Henderson and Fabinho stuff through the spanner of all spanners in the works. Liverpool are a very methodical team. They have a path planned out and they know exactly what they want to do. Alexis McAllister's release clause was target number 1, obviously. Target number 2, we need a second number 8. They've done their homework on loads of them. Thuram included, of course. There was links to plenty of them, loads of them. And then they pushed the button and went and got Dom Szoboszlai. The next priority, I think it might have been centre-half now, and then maybe try and get a young midfielder at the end. The landscape changed when the Fabinho bid was accepted effectively, and when Jordan Henderson was offered all the money in the world and chose that he wants to go. I think the landscape changed, and that's why the defender's been pushed down the line. Liverpool don't want to be... I don't think they're completely uncomfortable. I think if they had to go into the season with the centre-halves they've got, I think they'd be like, you know what, that's not the end of the world. I think they would think it was the end of the world if they didn't get the midfield sorted. So I think it's a priority. They're working down the list, and I think that's the right approach, actually. I would like a new centre-back. Don't get me wrong, but the midfielder, the DM has to be the priority 1. It probably needs to be priority 2 as well. You probably need 2 of them, and then you can look at the defenders near the end of the window, comfortable in that. Probably they're not ones who you have to have done for the Chelsea first game of the season. That could be one that you let roll on a little bit. That's kind of where I'm at on the defender stuff. I agree we need one, but I don't think I think that's one that it comes towards the end of the season. Right then, AJ, thanks for the super chat, $4.99, absolute superstar. Big up, Steve. Big up, AJ. Do you think we're moving for Lavia because of the player he could become, and we don't want him becoming world class somewhere else? I think that's part of it, yeah, potentially. We saw them do this with Luis Diaz. We saw them do this with Cody Gakpo as well. When they got wind that other teams are interested, they pushed the button again. Lavia's younger than those, but Liverpool wanted both of those players in the summer. They ended up getting them both in January because Tottenham's interest and Manchester United's interest. So interest from other teams definitely plays a part. Chelsea were linked. Arsenal were linked, although that one feels like it's died a bit of a death since it feels like they're keeping Thomas Partey around. Way to go, Arsenal, on that one. So maybe. I also think the fact that ideally you would want to wait a year. I think Liverpool would like to get Lavia next year, having given him a year of footy at Southampton. But at that point, Man City's release clause comes in. At this moment in time, it's unlikely City activate that clause given what they've just done, who they've got, and who else they're looking to buy. I don't think they're there. I think they're looking at spending all their rest of their budget now on Gvardiol. He went and got Kovacic, of course. I think they're all in on that one. So I think you're right. Liverpool are going, you know what, get him now. If we wait a year, City have all the options. City have the buyback clause, and we're out of that. So I think that definitely is playing a part in it. But also, must AJ. Liverpool needs the M's. He's one who they can get. They think they can get. Someone who wants to join them. Played Premier League footy. They like him as a level. I think it's a combination of all these factors. But I definitely think they were interested in him anyway, but I think they were waiting until the end of the window to try and get themselves, maybe, can we get a little bit of a bargain? Can we negotiate with it? But that's where we are. I think that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm good. You crack on. It's been off with a cup of tea. I'm good. I thought you were saying time out. Tom just walked in, gave me a tea, and I thought he was trying to tell me to get him. I thought he was wrapping me up. Turns out he was offering me a cuppa. I'm good, thanks, Tom. I'm on the Dr. Pepper Zero. I'm on a diet. I'm trying to lose weight. Cheers. Thanks for the comment. I saw you. Anyway, let's move on. It's fine. I don't want tea. I'm all good. For those who watched the live show yesterday, I made Paul a cup of tea, and he thought it was crap as well. So maybe I'm not the right man to do the tea talk. Right then, final couple of ones before we move on. Lavia from Tyler was a bit inconsistent for Southampton, but they didn't have the luxury of being able to rotate him out. They had to play him every week, and we could rotate him if he hits a tough patch. I agree, and that's it goes back to. In fact, I'll leave your comment up there, Tyler, while I speak about it. That's why I would like someone else. I think it's tough to ask a 19-year-old kid to play 40, 50 games and be consistent. To be the consistent, how good Fabinho was consistently, that's hard to do. Players have peaks and troughs, especially young players. You have to look after them physically as well. Stefan Baccetic, to go back to it, Liverpool broke Stefan Baccetic. He got in the team. They literally couldn't function without him for a while, and he broke. You have to be careful. That's why I agree Liverpool need options to rotate him out. Now, it could be that it's Lavia and Baccetic are your sixes, but relying on two young teenage lads to be a pivotal position in your side, it's risky. Jürgen's taken risks before. He's absolutely taken risks. He went into a season with Trent Alexander-Arnold as right back and a combination of James Milner and Joe Gomez as his backup. He's willing to do it. He went in and Harvey Elliott was in the team straight away. He's willing to do it. It sits uncomfortably with me, if I'm truth be told. But yeah, I see your point. It will be easier in theory. You're saying he should have less defending to do at Liverpool. So you're right. A lot of his stats at Southampton are like counting stats. He gets a lot of high numbers of tackles and stuff like that because they're under attack a lot. He's got to be more consistent in getting more of those right. Your percentage of successful ones needs to be a bit higher. I think that's kind of where we're at with Lavia. But I think he's a really, really good a good option to have. Whether how and when this develops, like I say, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it here at Redmen. Like I say, if you want to go over and check out the full interview with Sasha, I'm going to get Sasha's surname right. Sasha Tavalieri. Yes, who's up. I promise you, he's updated anything that is available for you over on redmenplus.com right now. If you do want to go and check it out, if you're looking at you're surfing the web and want to search some websites, if you go over to redmenmerch.com, this very book here, Roberto Firmino, Bobby Firmino, best in the world, is available now on redmenmerch.com. Pre-order. Paul wrote some of it. Dan wrote some of it. I wrote some of it. And we've got some amazing, amazing artistry in here as well. Some of the best Liverpool artist creators on the planet. Look at that one from Cali. That is absolutely brilliant. A few others as well. Who else is in here? Let's find the next piece of artwork very, very quickly as I skim through. There's Jimmy, our very own in-house designer. We've got Abby Rudkin. There we go. We've got Matty. Look at that one. Absolute baller. It's available right now for pre-order. The shipping should hopefully be at the end of this week, if not early next week. So if you want to go to Redmen Merch, there's a QR code on your screen right now. Or like I say, if you head over to redmenmerch.com, you can buy pre-order copies, you can get signed copies, or you can get just regular ones as well. Go and support everything we do. Get yourself an amazing piece of Liverpool memorabilia over there. And like I say, I promise you, kids, grown-ups, gifts, everything. It's perfect for everything. It's an absolute baller. So hopefully you get yourselves over there already. Hopefully you enjoy it. It's absolute belter. A lot of hard work went into it. It's an absolute delight. Like I say, if anything else happens on the Lavia stuff this week, we'll have you covered here at Redmen. On this very feed right now, the Redmen Originals podcast is alive and well. We went over the start of pre-season, the 2 games. We spoke a little bit about Jordan Henderson, and there's some Lavia chat in there for you as well. That's Paul, me, Steve Plunk, and Dan Clubb. So yeah, finish watching this, go and watch that one, and we'll be back tomorrow with a news update. See you in a bit.
Thank you so much for checking out the show today. If you need more Liverpool content in your life, whether it's podcasts, videos, interviews, or great Liverpool documentaries, head over and subscribe to redmenplus.com today. It funds everything we do across all the free platforms, and we give you amazing content each and every week.